Come on, it's 5:30. So we'll call the meeting to order, and we'll open the floor for public comment. Seeing none, we'll close public comment, and we'll move on to item number 3, roundtable discussion amongst council members. Anybody have anything? Yes, Councilmember Morgan.
Delora had talked about percentage for the marijuana funds that come in. Has anything come of that? Have we discussed that anymore?
So I believe Councilmember Andrus was discussing the idea of directly allocating the revenue we get in the marijuana
Correct.
sales tax to a specific line item. Council has not discussed that further. That money right now goes into the general fund and is used to support the general operations of the city, such as the police department, parks, et cetera. But no policy has been established by council that they would like that money to go into a certain fund. I will let you know from a staff's perspective, I would encourage council, if you start having those discussions, to leave yourself an out. You don't want to pigeonhole yourself into one specific thing, and then if you have a need that pops up over here that was unidentified and not have funding to do that need, that can get kind of, just a little hairy. So I would recommend to council that, if you consider that, I would also consider leaving yourself an out.
And I personally thought it was a good idea to put some of that money towards Griswold, towards streets, and so on. But if it's going to the general fund and that's where it's getting distributed through that, to those items, then
Anyways,
I don't
yeah.
have a problem with that.
Sure. Yeah. I know some cities got creative with their language, as in we received notice on what the per license revenue would be, I think in the springtime. Some cities said, hey, this amount of money is gonna go to, fixing streets. Your general fund was gonna go to your street fund anyways to fix those streets. You just got creative with your press releases. Some council members that have, dealt with communications and public relations kind of, understand that process. So I would offer, our money is going to our general fund, and the general fund, the budget is established by council. You approve all those expenditures, so you've already identified where that money's gonna go, because it's listed as a revenue, and all those expenditures are noticed.
Anything else, Bill?
I do, I'm just trying to put things together here. We were gonna talk about rental stuff this evening, were we? Yep, that's coming up, so I can discuss that at that time.
Rental stuff?
Rentals in the storage units in the basement? Okay, good.
Not housing rentals.
No,
Or Griswold rental policy, or, okay.
that's it for me.
All right. Tracy, anything? Mayor Pro Tem?
No, other than I'd like my Second Street Bridge open again.
Me too. What a pain.
So,
I know why you did it.
okay, thank you. I mean, I can explain again why we made this decision.
It's just a pain.
1 week. And the lights are going to get fixed this week on the Second Street Bridge, so the
Oh, good.
timing worked out perfectly
Oh,
for us.
excellent.
We're very
That's good.
excited about that.
Well, that's good news. The thing I was gonna talk about here, it actually shows up in my DDA thing, so I'll hold off on that till then, so, sorry. Yeah, so I guess I don't have anything other than that, so we'll move on to item number 4, discussion regarding City Hall basement storage, draft lease, and rental pricing. Joel?
Yeah, so what we want to do this evening during the study session is go over the proposed lease that we have created in conjunction with our city attorney, go over the proposed rental rates that staff has come up with, and give, really the city council a chance just to see this ask questions that you may have, and then we will be bringing these to you for your formal approval at your October 28th meeting. So, Parker. Straight line fencing, City Council awarded the contract to them. They are going to start the construction next week, the week of October 21st. It's expected that construction will last 1 to 2 weeks. So we're thinking we could start renting these out in the early part of November. We've worked with our city attorney on the lease agreement. Staff looked at several examples that we found online. We cobbled one together. We sent that off to Nick Curcio. Nick then put it through his filter and, gave us, the final one that was in your packet. I will let you know that you established a budget of $75,000 in your fiscal year 25 budget. On the screen and in your packet was a breakdown of our expected expenditures for this project. So we're looking to spend about $42,000. So it's going to come in about $33,000 under budget for this overall project. The next one, sir. Thank you. The rental rates is a straight per square foot rental rate. So we are offering the units at 75 cents a square foot. So 10 by 10, which there's 5 of them, would be $75. 10 by 13, which is the most prevalent, there's 10 of those, will come in at $98 and so forth. If they're fully occupied, this would generate about $2,593 per month in rental income for the city. That's if they're fully occupied. We are looking at these being rented on a month-to-month basis. That's similar how we do the rental for the T-hangars out at the airport. It's the most successful way for the city to oversee this kind of a project. So the money's just there all the time. The invoices go out each month. Danielle Bird, who is our city employee that does that for us, is on top of that. She's had a chance to look at the lease agreement, see the rules and regulations, but really see the payment processes, and she was the one that helped us get to that point of how we should really, build these. It is climate controlled, as you guys know. There is a sprinkler system down there. We are looking at a key card access, so everyone that rents a unit down there will receive a security card, a key card, that will allow them to enter the building either from Hubbard or Trowbridge Street or the parking lot, as well as Chestnut, that goes right into the basement. And then they would have the key card that will activate the elevator as it does right now, or the stairs at the basement that come off our main hallway. And then we're putting security cameras down there. So if something does go awry where we have to look at security cameras, you'll see security cameras. The lease has simple rules: no hazardous material, no perishable goods. So, don't store bananas down there, stuff like that. We have discussed with Allegan Pest Control, which provides pest solutions here at City Hall and treats City Hall. They're going to include the basement into their treatment process. So we're going to, incur that extra cost, about $40 a month, roughly, for the whole, just to add the basement to their spraying system.
Will that include like bed bugs and stuff like that?
Yeah, so bed bugs are like the cockroaches of the world. They're really hard to get rid of them. And so what we're going to do is use a solution that will attack most of the things and hopefully not incur bed bugs. The pest exterminator we work with that does our pest control solutions here at City Hall on a monthly basis has experience with bed bugs. He understands they get people riled up right away. He goes, but in his, years of experience, they're not that prevalent. So he's comfortable, with, what he's providing for us there.
Okay.
And then, we will see where this goes. The one thing with the month-to-month lease, we're able to, change that cost. So if we realize, 3 months into this, wow, we could charge more, we can address it that way, or if we need to charge less, we can address it that way. Our overall plan is we'll be bringing it to the city council as part of the budget each year. When you do your fee schedules, that cost will be established in the fee schedule, just like the hangars are at the airport. Any questions or discussion you want to have on what we're proposing?
Didn't see much in the lease agreement on eviction other than just a 14-day notice, or what would happen to items left post-eviction if they don't come get them, to be spelled out in the agreement.
There's something specific you'd like to see?
Well, just to spell it out so they know when they're signing the lease that if they don't pay their bill and they get evicted, that we have the right and remedy to dispose of anything in the unit after giving written notice or something like that. We'll see that a lot with storage units. They have to come up with some way to manage property. Sometimes they have auctions of units to pay their back bills. Like, what's our policy gonna be? 1 month late, 2 month late? I just want it kind of nicely spelled out so also staff knows what the policy is so it can be enforced easily. The only other thing I saw was the rental rates being just a flat is a little unusual, and most storage unit places
Yeah.
seem to do a.
So
Increasing.
4H, if you don't mind, Mayor Pro Tem
Yep.
Hans, if we could take these one at a time. 4H says upon termination of the agreement, the lessee has 24 hours to remove all property. Items left in the unit after this period will be considered abandoned and may be disposed of at the lessor's discretion. So I believe the way the city would work is if someone doesn't pay their bill for the upcoming month, and we contact them, they say, yeah, we're not paying it, we're gonna move out, and we say, okay, come get your stuff, you have 24 hours, and they say, I can't get there till next Tuesday. We'll probably be, considerate and say, okay, next Tuesday, come get your stuff. And on Wednesday, if it's still there, we'll probably call them and say, it's ours now. And then we will decide at that time whether we should auction it. Is there stuff of value in there that could be auctioned? Because, with that phrasing at the end, may be disposed of at the lessor's discretion, it's almost like opens the entire play field or playbook to us on how to dispose of it. We could just throw it away or sell it. If you would like a more defined, if council would like more defined language in there, we can put more defined language in there. But that's how I read that, upon termination.
I guess the only thing, just kind of looking at what you were talking about, there's nothing that says if you're 14 days late or 30 days late or whatever, then that's when we'll terminate your.
So number 2, term and termination. This
Yeah.
agreement is for a month-to-month term starting on blank. We fill that out. This agreement will automatically renew on a month-to-month basis, but may be terminated by either party within 14 days notice, with a 14 days notice.
Right.
So the way I view that, when we were discussing this and putting this together, you pay month to month, the bill comes due October 1st, you don't pay the October 1st bill. We call you and say, hey, there's a 5% or $10 fee, whichever is greater, added to this, and we need that within 3 days of the due date, and you don't pay within then it starts that 14-day countdown that we put them on notice, they're gonna be terminated.
So if somebody's 14 days late on their payment, we're gonna terminate their.
If the,
It's currently how it is, yeah, it's 14
yeah,
days.
that's the way I'm reading this.
We'd have to give them a 14-day notice at that point,
Yep.
so.
We give them a 14-day notice. So essentially, we lose the right to collect rent on that unit for 1 month.
Okay.
If someone just says, hey, deuces, there's all my boyfriend stuff and I don't care about it, or it's all my girlfriend stuff or whatever, and we're just gonna leave it there. I'm trying to think of a reason why people would abandon a storage unit, personal stuff, I really don't know, I've never been in that situation.
Like, usually they just can't afford it,
Yeah,
move away and never took it out. And then we have to figure out what to do with the disposal. Is
Yep.
there anything affecting us as a public entity that doesn't affect a normal storage unit place, i.e. the ability of us only to collect what, if we were to sell it at auction, would we be only able to retain what we're out of for the lack of rent for the month? Because we do that with our taxes currently.
so that's what we do with taxes. That's a question we can pose to our city attorney for, if you want verification. We do have a section in our code of ordinances for claimed property. I mean, the city has bicycles that are turned in that are never claimed,
Yep.
that eventually we have to dispose of, and sometimes those are disposed through auctions. But we'll go ahead and we'll shoot that email up to Nick Curcio and see what he comes up with.
Make sure we don't run into something about.
Yep.
Then, once this is finalized, I would want to see some sort of procedure book on how this is administered, like bills go out this date, this is when they're late, we send out a letter that they're late with their 14-day notice, and we have our letter all preformed, and just so that it makes it easy to start the admin on it, and then if we ever change of personnel in City Hall, it's easy to hand it over to the next person that's having to administer it in a consistent manner. Because I just want it to be consistent, that we're not all over the place on how we take care of, if you're late, if we're gonna say it's 14 days, it's 14 days.
We can send, we can put together, I envision it'll be a pretty simple standard operating procedures for this. I'm not viewing it as a big binder of some kind, but just some quick standard operating procedures, we could do that.
And then probably whatever advertisement or information we have, I would definitely point out what they cannot store in the basement with bold pictures, and likewise to say, you cannot store fuel here, you cannot store fireworks here. You know, everything kind of, just to make it big and bold when they sign up, they know. You weren't aware, it's in the contract, yes, but it's in our literature too that we have for it. Just because that's one of my concerns is somebody goes and goes, well, I'm gonna store my gunpowder down there. Okay, not a great idea. Or fuel or propane canisters. That way it's just clear, concise, everybody knows what they're not allowed to put down there. And then, yeah, so you did answer, also I had the question of how they're gonna have access during off hours, so they will have access to our lobby 24/7. I didn't know if we were just gonna say, past business hours, you gotta go through the
No,
side door,
nope, they'll get a key card, and that key card is something, once we terminate it, we can just go in and
deactivate it. And
click it off,
Also, I
deactivate it.
have I see a $50 security deposit.
Yeah, and just real quick, since you brought it up, I want to be clear on 4D is the lessee is prohibited from storing animals, perishable goods, flammable substances, hazardous materials, explosives, or any other item classified as illegal or hazardous under state or federal law. So again, it's kind of a wide open, catch-all kind of
Yeah.
statement that our attorney came up with, trying to say, hey, let's just make this.
Yeah,
Very
it's clear, I
simple.
just want to make sure whatever literature we develop, we point that out in the literature, so.
And maybe some signs downstairs.
Some signs and other things to say you can't store these things here.
So we were saving like $30-some thousand. Now we're gonna save like 29,000 with some signs down there, but that's okay. That's why we have a budget.
Well, you got a printer and a laminator, right?
Yeah, we have both those and laminate sheets that you need for the laminator to work. So yeah, we can make that work.
Doesn't have to be anything super fancy, just so everybody's on notice. And then it was just a matter of the rental fee. I did kind of evaluate it based on other storage rental facilities, and most of those do a decreasing rate as you rent larger square footage, the rate decreases, is what most of their models seem to have been doing. And then just did a cost comparison, which I'd shared with Joel, and to non-climate controlled and to a climate controlled storage. And definitely the climate controlled storage is quite a bit more expensive. So I think we're kind of at the low end currently, but I guess we can start and find out how popular it is, but Because I think the climate controlled goes for anywhere from like $1.42 a square foot down to about 88 cents for like a facility like a U-Haul, if you've ever seen their storage facilities. So, right now we're at 75 cents.
Anything else on this? Anything from you on this, Joel?
So, just very quickly, the last comment or point or observation made by Mayor Pro Tem Hands. The way this is set up, it's 75 cents a square foot. Do you guys want us to look at a different rate structure, or is this our toe in the water? And we can adjust it next year as part of the budget process.
I think it's a starting point. And if we can make adjustments. We've got 6 months till budget, we start budgeting again, less than 6 months. Start the next fiscal year, so we can make tweaks there.
Only thing that I didn't run math on yet is the ROI on this. How long are we looking if we were renting off all of it for just at least returning the initial investment?
Yeah, so right now we're looking at 2,593.
It's not quite covering your initial investment the first year, does it?
No,
It's only if you rent every unit.
Every unit, yeah.
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 That's what I'm saying. If you rented everything, it's like, it would be probably about a 2-year, and I'm gonna estimate probably about 3, depending on rental
Yep.
rates. And then after that, it becomes cash positive.
It's more than we're getting right now,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Can I just ask a question? In the leases, like in the office suites that we have, do they state anything about, what's prohibited in there? I was just curious.
I don't believe so.
I mean, odds are, you would think they wouldn't, but it
Yeah.
just got me thinking, what do those leases say?
And that's a very good question. I do not know. That's something that staff will dive into. We'll make a note to look at our current leases in our offices. I know the airport ones are really detailed. I mean, there's like 12 pages, I believe, the airport, the T-hangar leases are. Because I have to sign them, and I've got to flip, and that's where I sign. It's pretty good, sound effect, flip, you like that? So, we'll look at the ones here. Like I said, the T-hangars, it's very clear, like you can't do maintenance on other people's airplanes, but you can do minor stuff on yours, stuff like that.
Yeah, I was
So,
just curious, and is there a plan to periodically monitor what's going on down there?
So we're putting video cameras down there. The plan to periodic monitor is only if something looks awry. We have video cameras throughout the city. We do not have the capacity, even though I have been asked why we don't have someone just watching the video cameras to catch someone in the bathrooms down at the riverfront. Like, that just doesn't happen. Tammy and Christina, who sit at the front desk here, they have TVs where most of the city hall cameras are on 2 monitors up there. I will probably add 1 or 2 of those cameras down there to their monitors. Like, one of their cameras is like our back hallway where my office is.
Okay.
They don't need to monitor how many times I walk out of, my office, so. But that's that's something we can do there. Just, I mean, it's just like off to the side. You're not really monitoring and watching the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yep, nope, just curious. All right. Thinking somebody's gonna open up a recording studio or something down there. I don't know. You
I
know?
mean,
You
that
never
would probably
know.
crosses some real fine lines.
I have a question, Joel, you said they're gonna have key card access to go down the basement. Then are they responsible to lock their own
Yes.
unit? with
Yes.
Whatever lock?
Yep, they provide their own lock.
Okay.
We kicked around the idea of us providing locks, and then someone let me know that we have bolt cutters. I'm like, oh yeah, we do. The police department does, or, So we're trying to keep the management of this as simple as possible for us. We will probably purchase half a dozen locks ourselves here. So if we have to double lock something, instead of just cut their bolt off, but just put our lock on top of theirs, that's a practice that people do as well, so.
Usually when they don't pay rent. The other thing, I was just reading through it again, did we have any language in there saying that this cannot be a living space? I was just looking through section 4 and I didn't see anything clearly saying this is not a living abode, you cannot sleep here.
So, 4A,
Is it-
we're gonna go with 4A, the unit is to be used for storage purposes only. If we would like, we could put something in there that says this cannot be used as a place to sleep or stay overnight. We can put that in there.
Make it clear that it can't be used as a
Yeah.
residence.
Yeah, that's simple, that's just a letter, we can make that in.
Not your residence.
No living, yeah, you can't use it as your residence.
You can't use our address as your residential address.
And so, one thing I do want to point out to you, like Jay says, lessee shall not make alterations or improvements to the unit without lessor's written consent. So that's a 7-foot ceiling roughly. And there's, lack of a better word, iron floor joists that support what we are sitting on right now. So those fences go all the way up. And so we're not doing tops on top of these things. And if you are 8 inches wide and you can bend like a snake, you might be able to get through a crack from one unit to another. If some lessee says, yeah, I'd like to put my own fence on top of my unit, we may okay that if they do it, to their, to our liking, workman-like, stuff. But there's not much for people improving those things. They're just chain link fence storage units. And then I would just, remind council, Parker's already been approached by a nonprofit organization that needs a central storage location because it's stored in this person's garage and this other person's basement and this person's closet and this person's attic. And they're looking forward to have a central place where they can just keep all of their nonprofit stuff at.
Is this something that, seeing that it's not profit, they're gonna come in front of us and want us to reduce the rate?
Nope.
Okay.
It's not the Ark, just so everybody knows.
Case in point, the chamber's a nonprofit, and about every 2 months I get and I'm on the chamber board, they ask, why does the city charge the chamber rent since they provide a service to the city? And I say, because you're leasing the space from us. If you don't want to lease it, you can move out and we can lease it to someone else.
Hard guy.
You hired me for a reason.
That's right. You done good.
All right. Any more on this? Anyone? All right. We'll move on to item number 5. Discussion regarding the potential utilization, say that, utilization of Givebutter for fundraising. Parker?
Yeah, I'll take this one. So for quite some time now, city staff has been exploring ways to engage the public in fundraising opportunities for our various city-owned facilities. This includes our parks, Oakwood Cemetery, the Griswold Auditorium, and the Regent Theater. It's kind of been brought up at DDA meetings, Public Spaces Commission meetings, as to how we could go about doing this. The most common example that's been brought up is putting up a QR code at the sports complex, for example. And so when somebody's out there and they've been utilizing the space for years and they walk the mile loop every Wednesday night and they want to see continued updates and maintenance to the place and they feel like they want to give, they can just scan a QR code and donate right there from their mobile device. So we've explored a couple of different options. None of them that we met with. We've had some phone calls. We've had some virtual meetings with different organizations and groups. They just weren't quite the right fit. And a lot of them came with a hefty price tag to use. And then we were made aware of this organization called Givebutter, which intrigued us just by the name. And then after some more
I thought it was a
exploration,
misspelling when I first saw it.
yeah, it's kind of a play on words. They wanted a way to give better, and so it turned into this thing. So, but it's a free to use model. It's got different levels, so you can continue to go to different levels and pay. But its base rate is free to use. It's got a tip or fee model, meaning at checkout, if you will, after somebody makes a donation, they're prompted to either cover that fee with a tip or not. And then if they give $100 and they say they don't want to cover that fee, then the city only receives $98.75 or whatever it is to cover that fee. Again, you see there that 95% of donors, according to their website, choose to cover the fee. They accept all major credit cards, Venmo, PayPal, Apple Pay, Google Pay, all that kind of stuff is becoming more and more common. And then the other neat feature too, it will prompt folks who give to establish a regular donation. They can do it monthly, annually, or quarterly. And then it just automatically is paid from whatever service that they chose to do the first time. Yeah. Questions?
If somebody donates, do they specify where they want it to go to, or does it just go into a fund?
That's an excellent question. It does specify. So there'll be like, we'll know what location, each one will have its own like unique QR code that they can scan. So we'll know that it's coming from the Regent Theater or Oakwood Cemetery.
So each one will have a separate QR. So if I want to donate to the region, I have to scan that QR code.
Right.
Or the sports complex will have their, okay.
Yep.
Okay, that makes
Correct.
sense.
Sure. The parks, I could see all having the same, and then I haven't dug into this aspect of it, but then I would like to see some sort of like drop down and you can select which park it is that you want it to go to kind of thing, or it's just a generic park fund, but then the Regent, the Griswold, and Oakwood Cemetery would be individualized.
I think it's cool. I think it's a good step.
Back when I was in public spaces, they talked about putting donation boxes up and doing different things to try and get some money for parks, so
Yeah,
I think
and-
this is
And
excellent.
you know, we talked, like Teresa said, there was the concept of having just a box where people could put cash, and that comes with its own set of issues. Leaving an unattended box out at a park where there's not somebody there 24/7. So we just wanted to kind of streamline it, and get away from any potential issues like that.
Well, this is the 21st century version of a cash box, you know, and it's just more secure.
And I like literature can have the QR codes on that.
Yeah.
And could you also put those QR codes on the city website?
Oh, yeah, exactly that. Our Regent Theater brochure could have it linked right on there. There are spots on all three websites for the Griswold, the Regent, and City of Allegan for donation options. The Regent one isn't live because it's got nowhere to go. The Griswold has taken donations through, if you're all familiar with Ludus is the ticketing software, another free program that the Griswold leverages for its live concerts. A local company out of Holland. And so they have a donation capability through that, and that's what we link to right now. And then the one on the city's website is it just goes into the generic like city donation fund. But yeah, so there would be links then that would live on each of those sites.
Now, I brought this up, I think, in the past, doing something like this, but my concern is, are we gonna lockbox it to that actual donation going to that, and it's not gonna get pushed around? Are we gonna establish an ordinance or something that actually establishes some funds and what the
Yeah,
ability
so-
for us to use them?
So if council's okay with us going down this path, our next step is to further engage this organization. The way we see this playing out is, first, we're going to have to set up a very minor budget, or have council, just give us the go-ahead, for developing signs. The signs are going to have language, if you like to donate in person, please come down to City Hall, because there are some people that want to donate, but they don't like the QR code. We experienced that with the Mahan Park
I was just
fundraiser.
gonna say, that was a perfect example. We had little, restaurant, like tabletop cards that our local restaurants put out, and it got the word out, folks saw it, but either they didn't have the capability to do it on a smartphone, or they just weren't comfortable doing that, and then they finished breakfast at Minnie's and then beelined over to City Hall and dropped off a 20, which was super cool. So that would be the same kind of process that we would take there.
Yeah, and so, as Parker mentioned, the QR codes, the Regent Theater is simple, because we would just create a line item in the Regent Theater revenue section of the budget that would just say, Givebutter donations or something like that. So we know the money's going right into that for the Regent Theater. Same with the Griswold. The parks will be a little more complicated because there will be people, because we know this from our discussion at the public spaces, that just want to do the fundraising for the sports complex, period.
But the sports complex doesn't have its own budget.
Yeah,
It's
so,
just a part of the
so in the
price.
parks revenue, the parks budget in the revenue section, we're gonna have to have like sports complex donation, J.C. Park donation. The cemetery's gonna be easy because we only have one cemetery, but we'll just have Oakwood, cemetery donation. We'll figure something out, the logistics there, but yeah, it will be money coming in, it's gonna go right just to that revenue.
Well, like I said, my concern is we can push that revenue wherever we want currently. It's not really lockboxed to that.
So if council would like to create, a policy of some kind on, money generated through this is expended only in this, then we can create that lockbox. And if you wanted to be an ordinance setup, we could do an ordinance setup as well. But I think, I would recommend it's wise for you to do something that's more than just symbolic, saying, don't worry, we'll make sure it goes in the parks.
I think it just keeps good faith with the people
Yeah,
that are giving.
because these are actual donations that people are giving. It's above and beyond their taxes.
I would prefer if it could be a 2/3 majority of the council could vote to move stuff around in an emergency. But that really doesn't work unless we put that in the charter, because we could just vote to get rid of the ordinance in general and establish a new ordinance.
Any council can change the ordinance any day they want, if you have the majority. So, yeah. But we'll put something together for you, for that consideration as well.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, to actually make a good, true lockbox, we'd have to do probably something in the charter. And that requires a citywide vote.
You keep saying lockbox, I'm thinking of Al Gore from the 2000 election about Social Security.
Yeah.
And
But
the
I'm
Saturday
just saying
night
that
skits
you just wanna
that they
make
did
sure
with
when
that.
you donate, you're confident that we're not just shoving the money wherever we want using it. When you're saying, I want to give to the parks, you would like to see that money used in the parks.
Yeah.
And then, speaking of that, for any special projects, would we be able to just establish a new Givebutter link to say, if you actually just want to donate because the theater needs a new projector again or whatever?
Yeah, I can look into that, project specific.
Project specific, like when those come up, would it be impossible to do, or would it be pretty simple to just say, oh, we just spin up a new QR?
Yeah, so, as I mentioned earlier, it seems like council is comfortable with this kind of concept. We will further engage this organization. Just in the back of my head, it's free. I'm wondering if it's like SurveyMonkey, where it's free if you have 10 questions. But if you want 11 questions, then get out the credit cards, because you got to buy the pro software. So we're going to do a little bit of a dive into that aspect.
Or if you have more than 50 donations or something, it might.
That too could
jump-
be an
jump to
option,
the new,
so. But we really just wanted to throw this at council during the study session, just to make sure you're comfortable with this, because the other two we talked to, it was like north of $7,000 annual fee, just to have the service.
And I've seen, this is similar to our ticketing for the Griswold, where it is just a fee on the ticket that is how they make their money on it. And whether they want us to be made whole, they can say it's a tip, which I wonder why they call it a tip and not just the coverage of the fee with all the talk of no tax on tips. Like, I don't know. But yeah, I'm fine going forward with this. I wanted this for a long time, something similar.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Item number 6, discussion regarding the transfer of land to El Jaripeo Dos.
All right, I'm going to handle this, and I apologize for all the different ways I will mispronunciate this name. But El Jaripeo It's close, yeah. McKenna's been coaching me, and I've not been a good student. As you're aware, they have purchased the building at 110 Hubbard, the old on the grid. They have grand plans to improve the interior and exterior of this property. One of their, I'm just going to go to this slide. So the image on the left side of the screen shows their new floor plan. As you see, they are showing the new bar being constructed on the lower level. They are showing a new entrance on the lower level. They are showing, an expanded kitchen area, it appears, and 2 rehabbed restrooms that will be ADA accessible on the upper level, and then the lift that will get you from the lower level to the upper level, where I believe the majority of the seating will take place. As part of this project, they are constructing a enclosed three-season room, which you can't see on that screen. Parker's gonna help me out here.
Yes.
It's there, but it's, yeah.
Yep. So as part of that three-season deck there, and that is enclosed, they have to relocate the exterior entrance that's on that building right now to the west side of the building. That will empty into a parking space. They reached out to the city and they inquired if that parking space could be striped like the parking spaces on the other side of this parking lot that the Community Action Agency uses for a garage access. I informed them that it also appears on their plan that they have a stairs and landing that would go into that parking space. So it's not just merely striping it, but it's giving them a license to have access to public property or to build a structure over public property. Our licenses can only be done for 10 years. So I kicked around the idea of what if we just quit claim them that parking space and that landscaped area that's just to the north. That is an area that the city currently maintains through our downtown maintenance program. We have shared this with the DDA. The DDA voted unanimously to recommend that city council quit claim this land to them. It's just, in our opinion, a much cleaner way to move forward with this. The loss of that one parking space that loss of one parking space is negligible in our overall parking plan downtown. This one space is adjacent to the building they're purchasing, so they're, agreeing to more or less lose their, parking outside their building. So during the study session this evening, we kind of want to have a discussion with council on how you feel about that process and what the DDA is recommending.
With us doing a quitclaim deed, say they come in and just doesn't work here and they fold in 2 years, can we claw that back, having done a quitclaim, or is that not?
Yeah, so we could write it that way, so we could, but if they come in and they do the addition and they do the staircase going down,
We're not gonna want to.
I'm not sure why the city would want to claw that back.
Yeah.
It's different than what we did with JML Real Estate on Hubbard or on Brady, where we did claw that back.
Yeah,
Because they never moved forward with their addition. So we could type up some kind of purchase and development agreement that says if they don't move forward with their development,
there we go.
we can claw that back at that time. We can put language like that into this, agreement.
I'd like to see that.
Well, I was just in Finville on Saturday and 8.
It-
They told me they're gonna have this open by the summer of 25.
I heard that too.
I mean,
That's pretty aggressive.
they are excited, and
I'm excited.
It's great.
the guy said the owner is so excited about remodeling the inside of it. He said, And I think the inside of that one's pretty nice, he says. It's even gonna be nicer than this, he
Oh,
says.
cool.
So they're
Nice.
real excited
Yeah.
about
So
it. So
excited.
as far as I'm taking it back unless some financial burden or
Well,
something.
and you're right, 'cause they do have, I mean, in addition to the Jaripeos, they've got like the tacos, loco or whatever they are. We actually just ate at one. I walked in, I'm like, this is owned by the same people because it's the exact same restaurant, just a different name on the front. But, I mean, so they're very successful in what they do. They know the market. So, very, very cool. Love to hear that.
With the transfer also of the landscape area, do they need the parking spot?
Over the top, right?
No, that's not going over the landscape, because that was actually part of their property. It
No,
was
it's
the-
going over the parking spot.
Yeah,
The landing is.
Yeah, so if you look at the floor plan on the left-hand side, you would see while their property is what I'm gonna call a triangle, the actual building portion cuts off an
that's
angle.
off, yeah, that part is their property that they're gonna build
So
on.
I had the conversation with them, could they just put their door on that side? And their architect said, okay, the sidewalk is right there, look at our landing would go onto the sidewalk, and that's already what I would call a more narrow sidewalk, it's not like one of our
No, I'm not
downtown
saying on that
sidewalks.
side, I'm saying in that landscape area where there's the tree, because it's proposed to transfer that as well.
Yeah, but they don't have I see, having the stairs go down towards the sidewalk, down towards the
Down
landscape
into the
area.
Landscape, and you just take out the landscaping, and, because it's theirs at that point anyways, they
Yeah.
can do what they want with that landscape area. I don't know, if they need it, that's fine with me, if they absolutely need the parking spot, but I'd prefer if you can take out a little bit of landscaping and be able to use that area for your stairs and access.
If we give it to them, do we really have a say-so? I mean, if we quick claim deed it?
I'm saying it, do they need the parking spot? If they didn't need it, we would just keep the parking spot, and you just only give them the landscaping area.
What is one's parking spot compared to what we have taken?
That's not going to butt into the mural on there, is it? Public Spaces has they're scared
No,
to death
yeah,
that
so,
that
so
mural's
yeah,
gonna
so the
be gone.
mural is on the existing building, not the addition.
That
Yeah, so
top
the
triangle's
mural
in-
shouldn't be touched. And I don't know what the Arts Council did when they put the mural in, what kind of protections they received.
Probably nothing.
And I would encourage anyone, if you're gonna put a mural on a building, you better get some kind of easement on, 1 foot within that building that is given to you. Because if you don't get that easement to protect your mural, your investment, it could go away with the next building owner or the next day.
That would be the Arts Councils?
Yeah, the public spaces had nothing to do with that mural. That was the Arts Council, that the city was not involved. The city hasn't been involved in any murals in downtown Allegan since I've been here.
You and I took part and painted.
We did, we did partake in a community project. I even took my niece who was visiting from Germany down there and she painted it too.
Yes.
I'm not sure if it was nice, but yes.
So I'm for this, I want to make it as easy as possible for them.
Me as well.
Ditto.
No, I agree. I mean, I would want to, any business that wanted to come in, I would want to work with them to make it as easy as possible so they can be successful.
Thank you. We will go ahead and start that process.
All right, item number 7, an update on various city projects. Joel?
Yeah, I got Doug here for a little more firepower if needed. This evening, yes. This evening, we just want to give you guys some updates on where we are with our various projects. So Mayhem Park, that is fully funded. The architectural and bidding documents should be finalized this month. If they're not already finalized and they just haven't shared them with us yet, we are going to go out to bid for them in November. The construction is going to start in the spring of '25, and they have to be fully wrapped up by June 30th. We are planning a significant ribbon cutting, working with the Allegan Chapter of the KZU Folk Life Organization to do a nice concert down there, kicking around the idea of seeing if the Rotary Club wants to start the year off with a chicken barbecue down there instead of end the year with a chicken barbecue. But we would like that to be a nice, kickoff kind of community picnic party.
Have we seen the concept of the gazebo yet?
Yeah, the city council has not seen it, the public spaces, the representatives from the Public Spaces Commission hasn't seen it yet. It's been, the committee that worked on it was, representatives from the Good Times at the Gazebo. Represented, because since they organized the most events down there, we had them at the table. Leah Ward and Jack Daly, thank you. I almost said Jack White, and Jack
That
White's
would be awesome.
Jack White is a
I wanna
different
come to
guitar
that meeting.
player. Yeah. And then we had Stephanie and Charlie from Kitten and the Tonics, because they perform in the gazebo. We had Bridget Wanders and Becky Weaver. They were major fundraisers for the gazebo, as well as the people who brought the idea to us at the beginning, saying, hey, something has to happen here. And we had Judy McCall attend the meetings as well, representing the public spaces. So that's where we are. We're going with a polygon structure from a company in West Michigan. So we're using a West Michigan company here. They do structures all over for the people that went to Hastings. Their shade structures or polygon structures, so.
Our gazebo on Water Street's Polygon.
The wood gazebo?
Yeah, the one.
Oh,
between the
nice.
restaurants,
On
that's
which
Polygon.
one?
The one between Shandor's and the pot store.
The old discount grocery store. The beginning of our Water Street Boardwalk crossing.
Yes, yeah.
Polygon.
Is a polygon. This is a metal structure. It has a pitched roof, something the bands really, really wanted to have.
Is it similar to the riverfront stage?
It's not similar.
No.
Nope. It has a more of a pitched angled roof that projects the sounds that way. Smaller scale, where the riverfront one is more of a plain design. So that's where we are with Mayhem Park. Go
Ask
ahead.
a question
Yeah.
about Megan. And I know I had brought this up once before, and I just want to make sure we're still on track. There are bricks there that have people's names, the original donors. We are going to utilize them somehow, correct? We are not going to do away with those?
So the original donors from the original fundraising project are listed on plaques on the brick wall. So, yeah, they're
Okay.
not individual
And we're-
bricks,
Okay.
but
Hey, just sweat for a minute?
Gave me a heart
Heart
attack real quick. I was like,
Okay. All right,
answer your question,
Okay.
yes, those will remain. And then the donors that are to be recognized for the second phase are just gonna go on the back side of that existing wall.
perfect.
Yep.
Okay,
And-
all right, thanks. I've been asked by a couple of
Yeah.
people who were
yeah,
big
so
supporters of
not
the
only are they going to
first.
remain, but we are looking at the possibility of recreating each of those plaques. Because over time, weatherization, they have faded, they're showing some age, and we think this is an opportunity to freshen up.
Okay,
Keep the whole design, everything's the same, it's just gonna look cleaner on that brick wall that faces the river.
okay,
So,
thank you.
you're welcome. Any other questions about Mayhan?
Yeah, so I'm sure you have, because they've been in the conversations about what this looks like, but that June 30th, that kind of cuts into Good Times at the Gazebo's usual schedule, doesn't it? Don't they usually start earlier in June?
Good Times starts the first Saturday in July.
Oh, so it
Yep.
works out perfectly then?
Correct.
Okay.
And so, and when we use the words fully wrap up, that is, punch list is done,
Oh, so it's
we're
really
done. The substantial completion is, I think, May 31st.
Okay.
And so that's where we are with, Mayhan. Hubbard Street parking lot, again, fully funded. Architectural and bidding documents are being finalized this month. As you may recall, we received federal funding for this, $250,000. That required us to do a pretty intensive environmental review because the State Historic Preservation Office, which is responsible for doing the Section 106 review on the federal government's behalf, required us to do a ground penetrating radar evaluation of that site. That has been completed. Our environmental review record has been submitted to HUD for their final review, and then we expect them later this month to be issuing what's called an authorization to expend funds. And once we get that, we can start expending funds that are construction funds. You're allowed to spend planning and administration and environmental reviews as part of the planning process. We just couldn't do construction funds yet. So we plan to go out to bid for this in November, again, with construction date in spring of 2025, wrap up by June 30th of 2025. The process for this, or the hope from Abonmarche on this, is that we get one contractor for both projects. That's why we're gonna try to bid them at the same time and see if we can get, some cost savings that way. Any questions on the Hubbard Street parking lot?
When we say fully funded, it only means to what we expect the bid to be, correct?
Fully funded means that the city council set aside
We have a budget
certain
number.
amount of money in the current budget that we believe we can do this project under. And we'll see what happens when the bids come in. And then at that time, if we have to pare back, we can talk about paring back. But that will be somewhat of a different council at that time, so that will be a fun discussion and process. Any other questions on Hubbard Street? All right. This one, Ely Street resurfacing, fully funded, and the plans are complete. This project is going to be bid out by the Michigan Department of Transportation, since we have state funding associated with this project. The bids will be opened by MDOT in early December. Yep, the first Friday in December is when these bids will be opened by MDOT, and we'll know where we land on this project at that time. The construction is going to start after the school year, the 2024-2025 school year, so mid-June. I think the last day is like June 6th or something, and then hopefully it's wrapped up before school starts in August. So this will be a fun project.
The memo says by June 30th it was
yeah.
gonna be
Yeah, my
wrapped up.
memo is incorrect.
I was gonna say, I thought,
And so we're
man,
not
that's a
looking at the
fast-
memo, we are looking at the PowerPoint slide. My memo is wrong. I caught my memo being wrong this morning when I was doing the PowerPoint, and I said, why does that say June 30th? There's no way we're gonna do this project in 2 weeks. And I was told by a city staff member today, I just type what you write, Joel, and I go,
So
well,
mill and fill only, I could see 2 to 4 weeks to do that.
yeah, but there's some sidewalk works, there's some ADA ramps you gotta put in, so. And then the other one we wanna talk about with you today is gonna be a new one for most of you. Academy Street sidewalk, and then Water Street
Oh,
crossings.
this is Arbor Street.
Correct. There was also a mistake
like-
in my memo.
where the
So
heck
again,
is
do not look
Arbor
at the memos. During city council meetings, we look at the TV screens because they're pretty.
Okay.
So, Academy Street, a little bit of back history on this one. A couple years ago, a firefighter from Paw Paw passed away during an event, but was buried at Oakwood. And there was a large turnout. And one of the gentlemen that turned out to that, burial, lived on Academy and walked to the cemetery and then walked home. And as he was walking home, it triggered a memory he had with the Allegan City Council back in the mid-2000s about the need to put sidewalk along Academy, because so many kids in that neighborhood walk that street, either from the backside of Westward or kids walking to the middle school. And at that time, you'll recall 2 years ago, we were just getting ready to do our downtown streetscape project. And so he came in to see me and just wanted to let me know that he can't believe that we're spending money downtown when we were supposed to do a sidewalk in that neighborhood, 15 years ago. And I said, You're right, there probably should be a sidewalk. It's a big gap in that area. And so fast forward to now, and I'm thinking about the new elementary school complex going in over there at the end of Sunset, and all the kids that live in that central neighborhood, I'm gonna call it, of Allegan, around Academy, Arbor, James, Knapp area. And I'm like, we need to create a safer connection for those kids so they're not walking in the road. And so I had a conversation with the DPW, conversation with Abonmarche, and said, something needs to be, we need to figure out how to get a sidewalk on one side of this road that connects from Academy, Arbor, all the way to Sherman. And then we'll complete that connection, fill in that gap. At the same time, a couple council members here shared their dissatisfaction that when we did the downtown streetscape project, we didn't put in a handicap accessible connection to the Trowbridge, what I call the Trowbridge Plaza over here at Water. And I said, well, you know what if we just combine these into like a sidewalk project for next year? And, we talked it out at the staff level, and then we talked it over with Abonmarche, and we have a proposal to get these designs going. A lot of the curb area in Academy, where the sidewalk's gonna go, is deficient. Yeah, there's really small, like at the intersections, there's really small concrete curbs. The ADA crossing for the sidewalks that are on Arbor in that area, really, I've seen better days and probably don't meet the current standards. There's some drainage issues with some storm in that area. So what we'd like to do is, at the curb areas, hire a contractor to do that work. But for the length of that sidewalk, our DPW staff, it came from Jeff Morey. He's like, we lay sidewalk. We can do this if someone gives us the right plans and the elevations. And so Abonmarche is going to design, and I'm just talking about the Academy Street portion right now. They're going to design the sidewalk location, layout, engineering, grading, all that stuff. They're going to design the improved ADA crossings and curbing just at those intersections. We'll hire or bid out for, and then I'm going to jump to the other project, Water Street. They're going to design the crossings on Water Street. We're having to design two, one down here by Joyology to address concerns from, some council members that we didn't have that connection in that area. And then also design one down at Cutler, where Cutler crosses over, water. So it goes to that new counseling center, because we've noticed during our farmers markets, the number of people who jaywalk at that intersection.
I do it all the time.
Yes. So once those designs are all done, we're going to contract out with a commercial contractor to do the curbing and the Water Street connections. And then our DPW staff would do the sidewalk installation along Academy. As I mentioned, this is somewhat, you guys haven't seen this project before. This is something that, has been percolating in the back of my mind along Academy. And then when a couple council members brought up the issue with Water Street and, having to address that shortcoming we have right now, leads us to, where we are with this project, that we'd like to get the design done this winter and bid it out.
So I'm
Over
assuming
the-
Academy, we're not using safe routes type funding or that?
No.
Because then we'd have to do lamps and.
Yep, we're avoiding safe routes on that one. One for timing.
Yeah,
Our
it's
goal
like-
is the elementary schools are gonna be open in '26. So we really like to get this done in '25 or, next year. And then with the Water Street ones, that's just, that's stuff we have to do. When you notice a deficiency in your services to your residents, we probably should try to address those deficiencies.
At some point, we may also want to address the way that we fund our sidewalks in this town compared to most towns. That the city fully funds them and we don't ever put any assessments on properties to build out sidewalks.
Yep, and then, so that was something, Mayor Pro Tem Hands, that I have thought about, especially for Academy, and I apologize, this is Arbor in your memo. The downside to that is the supermajority of Academy fronts city property along that cemetery, because it's going to be on the north side of Academy. So there's half a dozen parcels
Yeah,
on
I'm just
that
talking in
side.
general, we may want to have a discussion at that about our sidewalk funding and how we maintain that.
Do
how-
assessments when we build new ones.
Do we do any assessments? Do we want to address it through assessments or not? But I think that's something us as a council should address at some point.
And just, I think you said it, but just for my clarification, to make sure I heard right, this is the full length of Academy all the way down to Sherman, is that right? So that connects to that, so that kids can get to school, okay,
Yeah,
good,
it's Arbor to Sherman.
gotcha. Good,
Yeah, we were talking about maybe stopping it at Knapp Street, because there's fresh sidewalk on Knapp, but it just seems weird to do it, 60% of the way, so.
There's
And
sidewalk past.
Councilmember Pergo's shaking her head yes, so I think she's in agreement.
I'm trying to remember if there's sidewalk between.
my son and daughter.
I appreciate that attitude.
So that's
Is there
good.
sidewalk between Arbor and Crescent? Up to, Hillside there? I'm trying to remember if there is. I drive that a lot, but I'm just trying to picture in my head if it's there.
Here?
No, it continues on, because if we're talking Academy, right?
Yeah, Academy's here.
And it goes all the way and ends in Crescent,
This way, down here.
down to, up to Hillside.
Yeah. So it continues going northeasterly along Academy from Arbor all the way to Crescent.
All the
Or it stops right, yeah, it looks like it continues on what I'm seeing on Google Maps.
Yeah, let me do a street view.
Where's Crescent?
Crescent's at Hillside.
Yeah, it's Grove is the one you'd want to.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it
Oh,
goes from
I
Grove
see.
and then,
I see.
yeah, I'm seeing on Street View. It continues through. So this really is a gap that's going to just improve the walkability.
Building mobility, I mean, even for senior citizens, I have to say,
Yeah,
who don't have vehicles anymore. Have little scooters.
Yeah,
with a flag on the back to let everyone know.
It's up for winter, but hey, it'll be back.
Yep.
just people that are
Yeah.
walking around town.
So you will see tonight in the report from the Department of Public Works, purchase order for Abonmarche to do this work on this one.
Okay. All good? All right, so we, item number 8, review of council agenda, any changes? Any updates? All good?
Can I ask a question about
Sure.
something different?
Sure.
Go back to roundtable discussion for a sec. I'm just
Roundtable part
curious
2.
about, yeah, right. I'm just curious about the EV stations. Are they being used? Are we, or station?
Yeah,
Is it being used? Are we raking in the dough on that, or?
we are.
Already paid for themselves.
So they are installed, they are electrified. As you recall, we got a rebate from consumers, which I had to prove to them that we have what I'm gonna call a governor on the station, because it can only produce so much electricity, and ours was at 19.2 something, and we can only have a max of 9, so we had to dial it back. It, in my opinion, is not being used right now. I've had one person use it since it was dialed back and shared with me their dissatisfaction that it's a slower charger. And I shared, well, it was this, but we were told, he goes, why would consumers do that? And I go, I don't know.
Because consumers doesn't generate power anymore.
I go, but that is the rules I have to play by for the next 5 years. And it's only been on PlugShare, which is the open source app to show all EV users where these stations are, for 3 weeks now, I think. So I think slowly, we're gonna see people notice it, use it. We'll see what happens as we get into the winter months, so.
I wonder, I'm just curious now on, like, Perigo has one that you have to pay for. I just wonder how much, what that is at in the hospital as well. And there's people every day at both of those, because I see them most of the time. So I'm just curious on if consumers told Perigo in the hospital they have to dial theirs back.
Yeah, so ours has to be dialed back because of the grant. I mean, it was very clear for us to get that rebate.
Oh,
They were like, yeah, they said you gotta dial it back.
okay.
And that grant is a 5-year commitment is what
Okay.
we made. To help them build out an EV charging station network. Very thankful that, we received that rebate, it helps us as an organization. It puts forth, a good foot, I would say, and letting people know that, hey, we have this available
Yeah.
to visitors and residents. And
Thanks.
Did I answer
just
your question for
curious.
you?
Yeah,
Yep.
thanks.
I only had one last quick question was about the sidewalk. I noticed there is some sidewalk at the beginning of Arbor going around the curve, and it doesn't look in great shape. Are you gonna?
yeah, we're yanking that out. This will be all new sidewalk for that area.
Yeah, because I was just looking, I'm like, that looks
Yeah,
horrible.
some of that sidewalk's like 2 feet wide, if that.
All right. No, nothing else for our second round of roundtable talks? All right, then I will adjourn at 6:41, and we will come back at 7 PM for the regular session. I will call this meeting to order. Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes. Councilmember Perigo. Here. Councilmember Zeter. Councilmember Morgan.
Present.
Councilmember Andrus. Councilmember Galloway.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hands.
Present.
And Mayor Byrd.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, Michaela. If you'll rise and say, oh, did we just talk about this?
Councilmember Zeter and Councilmember Andrus.
I support.
Sorry. I'm sorry. My head, I just said this. I just said it. Just said it. It has been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay? Thank you. Now, we'll say, I know, this is one of my, it's not like I do this for a year yet. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I make a motion that you guys give me a little slack. All right, item 4A, approval of the regular council meeting agenda for October 14th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve as it's already written.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes.
It doesn't have
Do we have
that on
something?
it.
Do we have, is it gonna be a night like this tonight? What's going on?
It's just a quiz.
Kinda going that
Make sure
way.
you're doing it.
Do we need to amend something?
Well, we have the change in the purchase
In the-
order price.
Oh, but it's been changed in the agenda, right? Yeah, so,
It was changed on our published as well, I
Yeah.
believe, so it was all.
so you said as written, that's legit.
Okay, all right.
I think we're
We're
good.
good.
Yeah,
No,
we're good. Okay,
Keep going.
All right.
Thanks, Mayor.
thank you, Councilmember Galloway. Item 5, I apologize to everyone. This is not usually like this. Item 5A, approval of the study session meeting minutes from September 23rd, 2024, council meeting.
I make a motion that we approve the study session meetings from September 23rd of 2024.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item 5B, approval of the regular meeting minutes from the September 23rd, 2024 council meeting.
I make a motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes from September 23rd of 2024.
Second.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Item 6, special presentations and recognitions by mayor or council. Item 6A, pregnancy and infant loss proclamation. So I was glad to get this request for this proclamation. This issue has hit my family a couple of times, and so this is near and dear to my heart. So I have this proclamation that October 2024 as Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. Whereas pregnancy and infant loss is such a common occurrence, one that is usually not recognized, and whereas many Allegan parents and families have suffered a miscarriage, a stillbirth, or the death of an infant during delivery or shortly after birth, and whereas this devastating tragedy often occurs suddenly, without warning, as a result of a miscarriage, stillbirth, preterm birth, sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS, accident, or other causes or complications, and whereas the city of Allegan wishes to acknowledge the profound grief experienced by families who suffer the death of a baby, and whereas the city of Allegan wishes to acknowledge the existence of the babies and the infants that died far too early, and whereas even the shortest lives are still valuable, and the grief of those who mourn the loss of these lives should not be trivialized, And whereas the 15th day of October, tomorrow, is recognized in parts of the United States and many other jurisdictions around the world as a day of remembrance and awareness of pregnancy and infant loss. And whereas the tragedy of pregnancy and infant loss, which exacts a terrible emotional toll, may be preventable in some instances, and whereas increased awareness of the causes and impacts surrounding pregnancy and infant loss may lead to greater understanding, support, and resources in communities across Allegan, and whereas a month of remembrance honors the lives of children taken far too soon and supports grieving parents and grandparents and siblings and other family members whose lives are forever altered by the heartbreak of losing a child, and whereas those parents and families require support and understanding during their time of grief, and whereas promoting awareness of the challenges faced by those parents and families is a positive means of establishing support and understanding, and whereas recognizing pregnancy and infant loss awareness remembrance month would enable the people of Allegan to consider how, as individuals and communities, we can meet the needs of bereaved mothers, fathers, and family members and work to prevent the causes of these deaths. Now, therefore, I, Roger Byrd, Mayor of the City of Allegan, do hereby proclaim October as Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month in Allegan and encourage parents, caregivers, and all residents to become educated in opportunities to prevent pregnancy and infant loss and support bereaved families when prevention is not possible.
Thank you, Mayor.
Is there anybody, are you part of this? Or you're part of Allegan Heroes? Okay, you're part of Allegan Heroes. So we don't have a representative from,
We do not.
okay. All right, so then we'll move along. So we'll move down to item 9, public comment. If anyone has public comment, you can approach the podium. You'll have 3 minutes to talk about items that we don't already have on the agenda. Not seeing anyone. We will close public comment and move on to item 10, written petitions and reports from special committees, and item 10A, request from Allegan Heroes.
Kim Pullen is here representing Allegan Heroes, and she's going to approach the podium and make a request.
Hello. So I believe I have stood here before you with a similar request. We are requesting the use of the Griswold at a reduced rate so that we can make our funds for our charity go as far as possible. In my letter, I explained that our costs just to provide the items that we are trying to provide can be quite costly. So every penny counts.
Thank you. City staff, do you have anything on this?
Yeah, this is an event that's been hosted for a number of years. Do you know exactly
Actually,
how many? I don't.
The Hero Show, I believe, is on its 16th year. The organization was started in the early 2000s.
Awesome. But the city and the Griswold Auditorium have been happy to host it at that facility on this same weekend each year. We almost kind of have a standing reservation. November's a busy month at the Griswold. There's something booked every weekend, and then obviously days throughout the week. But we expect Allegan Heroes on the 8th and the 9th of November, Friday and Saturday. Friday is their rehearsal, and then Saturday is the event itself.
All right. Ms. Parker, do we have any discussion from council?
Sound and light being used, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so I'm fine with the same as what we've done last year, which was just the cost of the sound and light. I don't know what other council members feel.
That's how I feel.
That's what I was
It's,
thinking as well.
So I'd make a motion to approve the reduced cost to just the cost of sound and light for their event.
I support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for what you're doing.
Yes, thank you very much for your work.
Oh, item 11, reports from boards, commissions, and city offices. Item 11A1, Downtown Development Authority from the September meeting. I will take this one. We talked about the Allegan refuse program, just sort of reviewed how it's going and if there need to be any changes as we're moving along. We talked about the next phase of our wayfinding program. We are engaging a guide studio that's going to put together schematics, I guess, for the lack of a better term, just so that we can put it out to bid with consistent materials and weights and things like that of metals and gauges and things like that. And so we would like to see that start moving forward. That'll just be for parking lots at this point. We'd like to see that expand in the future, but that'll be the first step. We talked about our community exchange. I think we mentioned it at our last meeting, but we did a mayoral exchange with the city of Hastings. So a group of us, city staff and some council members, went out there to Hastings and spent a day, and then the following week a group of them came here and we hosted them and showed them around. Allegan was a great experience, I think, for everyone. Nice to see what they're doing and nice to show off what we're doing, and it was good. I think I would recommend that continue in the future with other cities. Yeah, I thought it was good. I think we all got a lot out of it, and we made some friends along the way. The item C, let's see, D, we talked about the dates for Rolling on the River, Bridge Fest, et cetera. I was a little sad because of the way the dates fall this year. Everything is kind of pushed back a week, which for me means summer gets pushed back a week because I sort of gauge my summer by Bridge Fest starting and then Rolling on the River. So, yeah, and then we had, refresh my memory, Parker, we're short a couple of Rolling on the Rivers, and I can't remember why.
Yeah, just depending on how the Fridays go. Sometimes we'll get a bonus Friday for a total of 13 Rolling on the River dates throughout the summer. But this is one of the years that it falls on just what would be regular.
4th of
with
July
12,
is a.
But
is one,
Independence
yeah,
Day
that's
is a
right,
Friday.
yeah.
So we're not going to hold a concert on July 4th on the riverfront. So
Yeah.
there'll be a total of 11 concerts this summer.
Yeah.
As opposed to the normal 12 and sometimes bonus 13. So it'll feel a little shorter.
Thank you for that. And that's pretty much, that was our meeting. And so we'll go on to item 11A2, Public Spaces Commission September meeting. Councilmember Morgan.
Thank you. The public spaces met and we discussed our parks tour, which was involved in, we drove around in the Holly Jolly Trolley and looked at all the different parks and came up with ideas of what needed to be done, needed to be cleaned up and so on. Did that. Then we talked about a donation that the Cackleys had made of a small sculpture to be placed at the Ransom Community Park. It's currently, there's a person making a base for it so that it doesn't get stolen. It's a very small statue, but anyway, that's gonna go up there. The J.C.'s have raised approximately $2,000 so far towards the repair and cleanup of the Kids World at the J.C. Park. The community clean went very well at Hanson Park, and a thank you to all the city staff that was there, as well as to Pizza Hut, who provided lunch that day. Let's see, Friends of Oakwood Cemetery are having a cleanup event on Saturday, October 19th, to begin at 9 o'clock in the morning. There was a motion to recommend a hiring of an arborist to evaluate trees at Oakwood to start off with. Parks feels that an arborist is needed throughout the city, but we thought we'd start with this at the Oakwood Cemetery. We would like the city to do that. We just recommended that motion passed 8-0. Discuss the possibility of the city to become more robust with the information on the city website regarding our parks, their inventories, and the activities within them. And Parker shared details of the community exchange with the city of Hastings, which is greatly appreciated. One of the gentlemen from Hastings, their mayor pro tem, actually lived in Allegan at one time, which was kind of neat, so. Lived up on Ely Street, and that was shared with us, so. That's it, I think. Parker, is there anything else?
You covered it well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Item 11B1, a request to approve accounts payable and payroll. Mayor Pro Tem Hans.
It is requested that the city council approve accounts payable in the amount of $535,548.03 and payroll in the amount of $255,869.23 for a total disbursement of $791,417.26. Motion to approve?
I support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Moving on to 11E1, request to authorize a contract for Prein Newhof for the new T-hangar construction, engineering, and associated purchase order in the amount of $3,950. Doug?
Back almost a year ago, the council awarded a contract to Prein Newhof for the design and bidding process for the new 6-unit T-hangar. The bids were received and they were opened and awarded, and the contractor just started today. So the next step would be to get Prein Newhof on board to do the construction engineering. Their dollar amount is $79,000, and the city is responsible for 5% of that, $3,950.
Not bad.
So asking for approval on that. And because of invoice from the state, my understanding is we do not need a purchase order for this.
Great. Any questions for Doug?
Make a motion to approve, please.
I
Second.
support.
It has been moved and roundly supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes. And item 11E2, request to adopt resolution 24.33, authorizing a maintenance agreement with MDOT.
MDOT changed their process. My understanding is they formerly sent a hard copy for the mayor or the designated person to sign and send back. The new process is they send first you get a resolution to appoint a person on the city council, if whoever to sign it, then MDOT sends the document by OneSpan, their new signing system. They got rid of DocuSign, whatever. It's a fairly straightforward system. They send you the file, you click on it, and basically it's signed. So the contract would take place, the effective date would be 10/1 of 2024 and run for a 5-year timeline. So we're asking that the mayor be assigned, we appointed the autograph person. I know your term's up, and I
Signature.
brought that up to the person from MDOT. He said, once we get this back to MDOT, he says they'll turn that around in very short order.
Okay.
So we should have it prior to the election.
Great. Questions? If not, I'll take a motion.
I make a motion that we adopt resolution number 24.33 for authorizing maintenance agreement with MDOT.
I'll support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. And item 11E3, request to authorize a purchase order for Abonmarche and the required budget adjustments for design and construction engineering for sidewalk and ramp construction in the amount of $40,000.
Yes, this, as City Manager Dye alluded to in a prior meeting, basically, the study session, these are new items, so they will require a budget adjustment. And this one, we approach them asking for design and construction engineering all in one agreement, so we don't have to come back at a later date.
Nice.
And just to clarify, this does require a budget adjustment since this was not in the budget.
I'll take a motion if we don't have any discussion on it.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Item 11F, City Manager and City Clerk. 11F1, request to approve the lot combination at 130 and 136 Park Avenue. Joel?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a property that's been in front of council a few times now, dealing with the ready-to-serve fees for the Floras over on Park Avenue. They own both parcels. For them to combine it, we told them they had to have both parcels in both of their names. Last year, one parcel was in both their names, the other parcel was in one of their names. So they went through the process of clarifying or fixing that issue. Now they have come back and submitted the required paperwork for us to combine their lots into one lot. The city charter or the city ordinance designates it's the city council that's to authorize land divisions and land combinations. This is a land combination or a lot combination. So we are recommending approval that these two parcels be combined into one lot along Park Avenue. Any questions for staff?
Not? We'll take a motion.
I'll take a motion, or I'll motion to combine the lots at 130 and 136 Park Ave.
Been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. 11F2, request to authorize staff to begin the process of restarting the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority and utilize Fleis and Vandenbrink to serve as a Brownfield Redevelopment Authority consultants on a time and material basis. Joel?
Thank you, Mayor. Back in 1998, the city of Allegan established the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. Those resolutions were included in your packet. The city only had one brownfield project, and that was redevelopment of the parcel on Water Street that resulted in the Perigo outlet store. We now have a handful of projects coming down the pipeline that are going to utilize brownfield TIFs. TIF is a tax increment financing. Historically, when people hear the word brownfield redevelopment, they think of contaminated land and redeveloping that land. It is more than just that. It's to help make it smoother for developers to redevelop property that's in urban areas such as the city of Allegan by helping to create a tax increment financing district. And what a tax increment financing district is, the developer will incur the cost to develop the property, and then the taxes that are generated on that property will go back to pay the developer for their investments. There's only certain activities that can be paid for this, so it's not just a free-for-all for developers. So the most immediate one coming down is the potential residential development on Delano Street at 500 Delano. They have to put in water, they have to put in sewer, they have to put in the road, the curb, the sidewalk. All those are public amenities, so they can be reimbursed for that infrastructure, investment through the taxes that will be generated on that property. What this does is it saves the community from having to invest and pay for all of that up front. So it's a useful tool when we talk about economic development. Most recently, last fall, the state of Michigan amended the brownfield rules. We're now in a way to encourage housing development, and specifically affordable housing development. You can apply for local brownfield TIFs to help buy down the cost of housing as well. As you may be well aware, housing is an issue right now, not just in our city, but in our state. The cost of housing is also, an issue we're dealing with. That program limits the cap of a development to 20% of the project could be affordable. So it's a new law, new component. We're going to want to have someone that understands that stuff, on our bench that we can refer to and have them come to the table when we have these brownfield plans come in front of us that are developed by the developer's attorneys, but also have our, someone that we trust, their set of eyes. Fleis Vandenbrink is a firm in Michigan. They are well-versed in brownfields. They are a municipal consultant at this level. I did speak with our engineer of record, Abonmarche, and they were quick to say, no, you do not want us at this table. We do not have that capacity, and Fleis Vandenbrink was recommended to us. I also sat in a workshop at my manager's conference this summer and got a presentation from them and talked to other cities that utilize them. And, it's a direction we want to go, is make sure we have, as I mentioned, someone on our team that can, review this stuff and be the expert for us. This would be a time and material cost, so there's not like, they're gonna do it for $5,000 or $10,000. They did reference, what they think the cost would be to rewrite our brownfield plan. I don't believe that's necessary. That's why we're focused on the time and material process with them. And then the final thing that we need to do is we need to reappoint members to our Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. You may recall that we sunset, and by sunset, we just put the BRA, the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, and the EDC, the Economic Development Corporation, on pause. The members' terms all termed out until we really needed them to do something, and this is something that we need. So it's recommended that you authorize staff to begin the process of restarting the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. What I feel that will include is us advertising positions through our city website, through conversations with people that we have openings, and then also you're authorizing us to utilize Fleis Vandenbrink, to serve as our consultants on that authority on an as-needed basis, and it's just time and material. Questions from council?
So we'll have to reestablish the EDC. What about the Central Business District Development Authority? Because they're supposed to also be members on the Brownfield Board per the.
Yeah, so council, when you authorize staff to begin that process, I will dive into the resolution and the plan and get the membership. And if it says the central business, that's probably referencing the DDA.
That might be, so it's supposed
Yeah.
to be DDA and EDC serve on the Brownfield.
Yeah, so I might have to come back with you and say, not only are we reappointing the BRA, but we're also restarting the EDC. You'll recall your EDC and your BRA was a board of one. The same people served on each board, and they met at the same time, so.
Well, like I said, it says the members on the Brownfield are both the EDC and the Central Business District Authority were the ones that then would be the Brownfield members. So it's like a combination of two, not just the EDC. I'm just looking at the resolution. I was trying to figure out who's all got to get spun up, so we might.
Yeah, Nick Curcio and I will dive into this pretty thick, it sounds like.
So maybe the DDA is gonna have some more work.
Good.
You have enough work. And they only want to meet for an hour. 9 o'clock rolls around and they get antsy. Any other questions?
And this might be too far down the line, but is the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, when we kind of put that, and I guess specifically the TIF process, can we set that up, or can council set that up as the way we did the Oprah, where there's sort of a scoring system? Because it seems like we could get real arbitrary if not.
So state law is pretty clear on what you can and cannot reimburse, what activities you can and cannot. So if they come in and they say, it's gonna be, this much sewer pipe, this much water pipe, and then they gotta turn in all the receipts and everything when they're done. If you're questioning, can we approve a TIF for this kind of a development, but not that kind of a development? That's a good question for the consultant to bring them in, to make sure we don't go awry of the state law.
Yeah, well, I guess it's just, like, I like how we did it with Oprah where, you know, if you met these criteria, you got points toward it, and then we decide, from there, we can determine, well, you get 10 years and, you know, a deferment, or, so I just didn't know how that would work, so.
I think it's because the TIF is they're building out the infrastructure that then becomes city property. So that's what they're
So it's-
getting reimbursed. It's like the sewer pipes, the water pipes.
So it'll be more of a specific number than,
The main question I would have is the approval of the TIF, is that at the Brownfield Development level, or does that then come back up to city council for approval?
I believe that ends up at city council.
Okay.
Once again, why we want to bring a consultant in that, you know, an expert that deals with this on a daily basis. Roger, just to answer your question a little bit, so you're not just hanging in the wind there. The new law with the residential, I think you do have the ability to say, we're not going to entertain buying down the cost of housing. There are some cities that have made that, you know, determination that affordable housing is, you know, something they don't want to subsidize. They believe it's a federal requirement. If the federal government chooses not to do it, then sorry, Charlie.
yeah, that wasn't my point at all.
Yeah,
I do want affordable housing,
okay.
however we can get it. I was trying to figure out how we do it, how it happens, so. But that's a discussion for another day, maybe.
Because like with Oprah, we said, first level remodeling is this much, and
Right.
if you do the second floor remodeling, it's this much, you know, this long. Right.
And then it's, the more benefits the city's getting from it, the more we give toward it.
Right.
So I
So your
guess that's
question was
more
if
of
a TIF worked, the kind of, if we could do
Right.
the same
If
thing.
you're a certain number of housing, a certain number of units, or
I
certain,
think like
this,
on
that, or.
the infrastructure, probably not, but on the buy down of housing costs, which is in essence you're subsidizing builders. That's why a lot of cities said, we're not doing it, is because then we're taking our tax money and using that to pay the builder. So that's where one, you could maybe have a scoring system on it to probably say the affordability has to be at X level before we would entertain it. Because otherwise, it's just like you're subsidizing the builder's build
Well, we're
out.
subsidizing the builder to do the work that the city doesn't want to have to do ourselves and pay
No,
up
no,
the
it's-
upfront cost.
No, not that. That's the sewer and water lines. This is physically the
Oh,
building itself.
gotcha, I
It can
see-
be
I see
used
what
to
you're saying.
subsidize their
To bring
build.
bring the cost
Cost
down.
of the-
I see what you're saying.
That's the difference between the two.
Gotcha.
So I make a motion to authorize staff to begin the process of restarting the Brownfield redevelopment and utilize Fleis Vandenbrink to serve as Brownfield Redevelopment Authority councils.
I'll support.
All right, it's been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item 13, communications from city manager, council, and mayor. Joel, anything?
Yeah, I will be out of the office on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week, and Parker Johnson will be serving as the acting city manager in my absence.
All right. Parker, anything?
Yeah, I got a few things. We're just a couple weeks away from Halloween, so I'm going to stick with a theme. The Griswold Auditorium has some pretty unique uses, sometimes unique rentals. Ryan Berza just hosted a paranormal investigation at the Griswold over the weekend. So they paid to rent the facility to host that. They have a YouTube channel, so they'll have that investigation up online pretty soon here. So that'll be some nice little promo for the Griswold too. And then coming up in a couple of weeks, it's the 1st and 2nd. The Griswold is going to be hosting the Allegan Ed Foundation's annual murder mystery fundraiser. And so that'll be a Friday night and Saturday night activity there. They've hosted it at other locations, but they're hosting it at the Griswold this year. So we're excited to be a part of that. And then another unique use of one of our facilities, the Regent Theater is hosting a premiere screening of a documentary that was made by some Kalamazoo filmmakers. It revolves around the subject of the documentary is a woman who was a hair and makeup artist and a zombie for the original Dawn of the Dead movie, and she resides in Grand Rapids. And so they explored her life and her time working on that movie and in the film industry, and she will be at the Regent Theater on Friday to do a little Q&A and meet and greet with the folks who come to watch the documentary film, which won Best Documentary Short at the Hollywood Horror Fest a few weeks ago. So, yeah, So that'll be some fun and unique press for the Regent Theater. And then the downtown Allegan businesses are hosting their annual Moonlight Madness. It's their fall shopping event on October 26th from 5 to 8. So there'll be sales and specials at restaurants and stores that night.
Nice. And trick or treating on Halloween.
Yes, trick or treating on Halloween in the downtown from 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. And then that rolls right into residential trick or treating from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. within the city limits.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Parker. Kayla?
Just wanted to note that early voting for the November election will begin on October 26th and will run consecutively through November 3rd. That runs 8:30 to 4:30, same hours that we hold here at City Hall. And then the general election day is on Tuesday, November 5th.
And so just for clarification for the public, early voting is during business hours.
Yes, it's during business hours.
They can come and
Yep.
they come into council chambers?
Yes, it'll
Yeah.
be in the council chambers. It's 9 days consecutive of
Nice.
early voting.
Awesome. Thank you. Doug, anything?
Yes, one item. Just a reminder that our fall cleanup did start this past Saturday. It runs this week through Saturday, 7 to 2 o'clock or 2:30, Monday through Friday, and 8 to 3 on Saturday. So if you have any non-hazardous household items, feel free to bring them up.
Great. Thanks, Doug. Teresa?
I do. I have a couple of questions. What's going on at 101 Brady Street, Mr. Dye?
Are you talking about the condition of the lot or the hotel?
The hotel
All
or
right.
the whole, whatever you'd like to
Sure.
share?
Yeah, same story that you've heard before. They need investors. I'll be a little more detailed with you now. The project's 10 million. The bank loan is 7 million. The state is coming in at $1 million. So they need $2 million in investors plus startup cash. In addition to that, the banks, all the banks they've talked to are requiring a personal guarantee of that 7 million. So unfortunately, through this process, trying to find an individual or a group of individuals that are willing to put their name on that line has been a challenge. They have gotten some, but they have not gotten it all. I believe I mentioned to council at a previous meeting about a conference down in Nashville. Unfortunately, there wasn't success in securing investors at that conference. So that is where we are with that project. To answer your question?
It does, which brings up another question. So are we just gonna, I mean, obviously, we don't have any other plans for that property. It belongs to them at this point. Are we just gonna ride along until something else comes up, or, I
Yes.
mean, I don't know what that I don't
Sure.
remember what that time frame was, because
So the-
we changed it a few
Yep.
times.
The last agreement the council approved, the purchase and development agreement, was by, if a hotel was not constructed by the end of this year, which there will not be one, that they owe the city $25,000 in liquidated damages. That will be a conversation that we will have with the council probably after the election. Just when I'm looking at a timing discussion, because the next conversation I have with the developer with 102 Brady is, okay, so the conference in Nashville in late September didn't result in something positive. You know, where are we really, with trying to get someone that's not from Allegan that wants to invest in Allegan? And we've already made, overtures. We talked to the former CEO of Perigo that oversees a hedge fund and an angel fund, and that was politely rejected. We've talked to people in Allegan who have deep roots and financial capability, and we haven't really gotten off the ground with that one. There have been several, I mean, there have been half a dozen meetings with people just trying to see if this little red engine can get up the hill, and the wheels are still just spinning on that track.
All right, thank you, Joel. So what is going on with the business who was gonna manufacture gummies? Where
Well-
did that end up?
So 102
So-
Brady, City Council, you approved the rezoning request and the special use permit. And last week, they were replacing the roof. Brandon Gillies, the owner, has been in contact with me, sharing his plans. I mean, the end result, when he's fully operational, is 60 employees. So they cut down the tree that was just adjacent to the plant. So there's 2 trees in that parking lot, and then there's one right next to the building. And that tree was doing a lot of damage to the roof they're replacing. And he was like, can we cut down that tree? I'm like, it's on private property, that's between you and the landlord, because he's renting it from 102 Brady, the people looking at the hotel. So they've been, I would say they're making progress.
Good, okay, good.
And while we're in that area,
Yeah,
it should probably make council aware, sorry, the Indians or the Guardians play like right now against the Yankees.
No.
So I'm thinking that, not this. The old Town Talk gas station for you really historic Alleganders, Parker's gonna let me know, which was located between currently Sherwood's Cove and Tilt. There's underground storage tanks in that general area. Some of those tanks are on city property, some of those tanks are on Perigo property. Perigo's gonna go ahead and take care of them and remove those within the next month.
oh, wow.
So we're gonna have to close off part of that parking area. So you're gonna see some construction in that area, and I know what you say, Joel, would you not tell us what was happening in this general area? So they're gonna be, taking out just some underground storage tanks they need to remove.
And they're gonna restore the parking lot after.
Yeah, I mean, to the best of their, that is a horrible parking lot. That would be the best part of the parking lot when it's restored. If you've driven through that parking lot
I have.
lately.
See, Town Talk, that's where the dumpster's at too.
Yeah, but the storage tanks are further south.
And one last thing, the last dumpster enclosure got finished this last week.
Yes, it did.
On Water Street. Yeah, looks really good.
Yep. I have, so as Roger mentioned during the DDA, we talked about the downtown dumpster program. It was all positive.
Yeah,
I was,
it was.
I was trying to beef myself up to get punched a little bit, but it was all positive about the whole program, the way things look. And then when we do the Hubbard Street parking lot next year, that's when we'll do that one, just next to the Regent Theater. So we're excited.
Yeah.
Bob did a good job.
Yeah, looks great.
Thanks.
Bill?
I have nothing.
Tracy? Peter?
Nothing?
My phone is blowing up. My mom and sisters are all on a group text because they're watching the Guardians as well, because they're all down in Cleveland. So I'm gonna adjourn the meeting so I can go home and watch the game.
Well, sorry about that. I had to fill in for Delora a little bit because she wasn't here.
We'll adjourn at 7:43. Thank you all.